future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com. 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fed Up Show with Lonnie Ramati. I'm here to tell you about a new movement I'm starting. I want everyone to call in and tell me how fed up they are and what they're fed up with. Because I am fed up. I'm fed up! Well, it's been another great week, and this is a special week. This week, Donald Trump actually made me decide to vote for Hillary Clinton. You did it, Donald. You outdid yourself. Even you outdid yourself. You talked about trying to woo a married woman just after you got married and while your wife was newly pregnant. It doesn't matter that you weren't running for office when you said this in 2005. It shows your state of mind. I mean, women, mothers, daughters, grandmothers, how can you trust this guy? And it's very strange. I mean, this was so bad that even Donald Trump realizes he had to apologize, because he wouldn't apologize about, an Indiana judge, right, who happens to be of Mexican descent. He wouldn't apologize for saying he's against him because he's of Mexican descent, even though he's from Indiana. He wouldn't apologize for attacking the Khan family, which is a Gold Star family whose son was killed in war. But he apologizes for this because even Donald Trump knows that it's really bad. And it's not enough, the apology. He talks like this all the time. He gives contestants at Miss Universe unwanted kisses on their lips. And just so you remember, and I know you've heard it over and over again, but this is what he said about Miss Odell, who was a married woman, who's a broadcaster. I moved on her. Actually, she was down in Palm Beach, and I failed. I'll admit it. I did try to F her. She was married, and I moved in on her very heavily. I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture, and I told her, I'll show you where you can get some nice furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, and I could not get there, and she was married. And all of a sudden I see her, and she's got these big phony tits. She's totally changed her look. And this is his response, Trump's response to the clip. That was locker room banter, a private conversation that took place many years ago. Bill Clinton has said far worse to me on the golf course. Not even close. I apologize if anyone was offended. Okay, so here are my thoughts. Why didn't you apologize 10 years ago? Also, this wasn't in a locker room. It was Access Hollywood. Yeah, it wasn't on the show, but you had a live mic on you, and you'll never be stupid enough to suppose the mic is turned off. And you just got married, Donald. And your wife was pregnant, and she's a beautiful young woman. What kind of man who just gets married thinks like this, and worse yet, talks like this? I'll tell you who, Donald Trump. In his campaign, he said, and I quote, I have a tremendous respect for women. Not. Of course he defends himself by claiming Bill Clinton has said worse. But we're not voting for Bill Clinton currently. We don't have a tape of anything like this from Bill Clinton. We're voting for Hillary Clinton. And she respects men and women. And don't give me this crap about how she went after the women that her husband had affairs with, because right now she has a better track record with women's rights. End of story. On Howard Stern, Trump said it's okay to call his daughter a piece of ass. His daughter. He talks about threesomes that he did and the fact that after 35, women are not worthy of having sex with him. I don't remember any of this stuff coming from Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton. And when he ran the Miss Universe contest, he goes backstage and looks at women. In 2008, he's a peeping Tom of sorts. What difference does it make that he's not running for president? when he does this. It doesn't matter. He's running for president now. I don't have any information about Bill Clinton doing these sorts of things. I don't have any information about Bill Clinton calling his daughter a piece of ass. So here are my thoughts on that. How can you actually allow anyone to talk about their daughter as a piece of ass? I mean, how can you? What are your family values, Donald? Are you even a good father allowing that to occur? You allowed Howard Stern to call your daughter a piece of ass? Are you nuts? I'd go after him with everything I have if Stern did that about anyone related to me. He has no right to be doing that, and it's ridiculous. And by the way, Stern even said, is it okay if I call her a piece of ass? And you should have just said, no, it's not. That's my daughter. Don't be ridiculous. And again, Donald, you were on public radio with Stern, showing the entire world about, including your daughter, by the way, about what your sense of discretion is. This is what we can expect from you, okay? And is this what we want as a president? Because if that's the case, you're capable of saying anything or revealing anything that's private or confidential, and presidents can't do that, Donald. Now, you can get political on this and say 50 major Republicans rejected you this week. They're suggesting somebody else run in your place. But I don't think that's what's important, because I don't care what those bigwigs say. They're all just fat, rich people. What I care about, and I don't mean physically fat, I mean fat-headed, like stupid, like lazy. I don't mean physically fat. But never in the history of any presidential campaign has a candidate been asked to drop out by members of its own party like this. It's called a collapse, Donald. You're in free-for-all, dude. And Donald, the election isn't rigged except you're rigging it. You caused your own demise. You caused your own crash and burn with these idiotic things you did publicly that have undermined your entire presidential campaign. So here's my question, Donald. I wonder how your own mother would feel about what you said. Because I wish I could ask her, or maybe your grandmother, or your aunt. You get the gist. Oh, and all you people who support Trump currently, talk to your mothers and grandmothers and aunts about what he said and see if they want you to vote for him. Or better yet, talk to your daughters. This type of crap from Trump tips the scales for me. He was a newly married man in 2005 with a beautiful pregnant wife, and he makes these statements. I mean, to me, it's unforgivable. It makes him sound like a person who wants notches in his belt based on the women he can get. And frankly, that tips the scales for me. He doesn't respect women to the extent that I think any normal human being should. He tells Stern that his daughter's breasts are natural. Why are you even getting in that conversation about your daughter on Howard Stern, Donald? Have you lost your mind? Do you think that's what a responsible parent does? Did her mother do that? Did anybody do that but you? You don't talk about your daughter like that. That's your daughter. You shouldn't even allow such a discussion. Regardless, Donald, all women, even your own daughter, are pieces of ass to you, it appears. If they're under 35, they're sexual beings for you to conquer, it appears. It appears to me, Donald, that you objectify women. You see them as sexual notches on a sexual belt, which is ridiculous because they're human beings just like us. We all have the same genes. They're just a different gender. So that's it. It's Hillary for me. I'm not voting for Trump. Just way too much junk with him. I'm voting for Hillary. It's over, Donald. You're done. And I do hope you lose now, because what did we learn from the leaks that came out about Hillary? There was all this WikiLeaks stuff, and it was all going to be so dramatic. I'll tell you what we learned. She believes in free trade and open markets. Hey, wake up. I believe in free trade and open markets. That's a good thing. Oh, and by the way, the formation and foundation of capitalism is by John Keynes. Look it up, folks. And Keynes believed in free competition and free markets. Now, communists don't believe in free trade and free markets. Dictators and fascists don't believe in free trade and free markets. We believe in them. We're Americans. We're capitalists. And I think she was overpaid and sold out on those speeches. I agree. But saying that she won't support TPP and then saying she believes in free trade are not conflicts of interest. TPP is not a fair deal. And originally she was for it because she liked the concept of free trade. She changed her mind because she realized what a piece of crap it was. And maybe her own husband told her what a piece of crap it was. Maybe Obama secretly thinks it's a piece of crap by now. Or maybe she just reread it and realized, hey, this stinks. To me, it's no big deal. So let me ask you, everybody out there, is Donald Trump our commander-in-chief? And don't give me this crap about how he's going to lower taxes for the middle class and poor, because he only lowers taxes on the rich. Look at his tax plan. He helps rich people like himself. And don't give me this crap about how he's going to change things for the better once he gets into office, because now Democrats hate him, as you know, and Republicans hate him. So who's going to listen to him in Congress? I mean, we actually found someone in an election who's now less likely to get results as a president than Hillary Clinton. That's inconceivable to me 2 months ago. But right now, I'm going for Hillary. It's over. I'm done. I'm fed up. So here's another thing that I was reading about this week, and I believe in it. We're all, as Americans, concerned about job security. We may have jobs, but we're terrified about job security. Most people are. It's pretty clear to most people that generally their days are probably numbered at work. They don't have contracts. Their bosses lie to them and tell them their jobs are secure when they're not. And hell, their bosses claim their company is not being sold while selling it. And worse yet, worst of all, their bosses don't help them get work. They're just thrown to the dogs. So while pretending to not sell the company, pretending that you have job security, the bosses won't even help you get work after the years you put into that job. I mean, most people have been great employees or very good employees. Most people are good employees. I really believe that. They've done the best job they can, and a lot of people don't take vacation in America. We're the country that takes the least vacation. We work so hard. And you know what you guys get for this sacrifice? You don't take vacation. You work hard. You're lied to about your future. And worse yet, your bosses try to take away your vacation that you earned by working hard. You work so hard, you earned all this vacation, and here's what they do. First, they change the vacation policy after you've earned your vacation days, so that under the new policy, you lose vacation days you've earned every time you take a vacation day. So you constantly are actually reducing vacation days instead of earning it until you hit the fixed number of vacation days. So let's say you've earned 4 weeks of vacation, and the new vacation policy is 2 weeks. Every vacation day you take doesn't add on to your existing vacation, and it doesn't remain the same. You lose your vacation 1 day at a time until you get down to 2 weeks. And then they constantly recalculate it so that it artificially reduces your vacation. This is what bosses do. It's actually happening. And why do they do this? Because despite the fact that they're rich and you need your vacation time if you get laid off or fired or the company is sold, despite the fact that you're desperate for that money, they don't care. They're greedy and they don't care what happens to you. They don't care. You've been loyal to them. You haven't taken vacation at a major sacrifice for you and your family. And what do? They try and get rid of your vacation to artificially reduce their overhead, which they don't even need to do because they're already rich. So now not only are you thrown out on the streets for political reasons, but they have the nerve to artificially reduce vacation to have less chance of surviving economically. And this is the worst thing that happens to workers in America. Workers get screwed constantly. And in America, bosses and rich people can and do get away with this type of crap. And they have human resources tell you, some jerk who pretends to be your best friend every day and walks around and has to meet and greet you every day pretending that he or she is your best friend, which is the most disgusting, despicable betrayal of humanity ever. I think all of these people that walk around and do these sorts of things to people should have it done to them every day of their lives so they can experience personally what they do to other people. I just wish it would happen to those human resources, because they come in and say, gee, we're recalculating your vacation time based on a new policy. Like some innocent, friendly person. And this scumbag pretends to be your friend. Well, we've had a history of bad people pretending to be your friends. In Mussolini's Italy, if a person helped people that were enemies of Mussolini, they said they were your friends, and behind your back, they were betraying you. So, and there are all sorts of things in fascist states where this occurred. So just because somebody acts like your friend doesn't mean they're not betraying you. You are being betrayed. It's not Mussolini in fascist Italy, but it's a betrayal. And it's a betrayal of the harshest consequence. So let me tell you how foolish bosses are and how foolish executives are when it comes to figuring out who is good for them. There's an executive in a company, a Wall Street company, all right? He's a president in that company, and he is completely foolish when it comes to evaluating who his supporters are and who his friends are as compared to who are his enemies in his own company on Wall Street. This guy, he's a brilliant man. He's brilliant at his job. He's got a mind that only a genius could have. But he has no clue about evaluating people, and he doesn't spend the time to do it. No clue. His real enemy in this Wall Street company is the president of another division who is behind the scenes and almost every day badmouths him and makes fun of him to a number of people. A lot. And this executive doesn't even understand this other president is his enemy. The executive shouldn't be recommending that this other president be part of his team and shouldn't be treating this other president, who is his enemy, with the respect and admiration that he treats him. Because the guy is his enemy. He should be protecting himself against his enemy. But instead, the enemy hides what he says about this executive and only talks to certain people that won't tell the executive what he says. And the enemy does things to undermine him constantly, but nobody reports this to our guy on Wall Street. So what happens? The enemy gets rewarded. The enemy gets rewarded. The person who's being badmouthed rewards the enemy, and it's nuts. It's nuts. But let me tell you how really stupid this executive is about evaluating people. Not only is the executive actually rewarding his enemy, this president of another division, but he believes somebody else, a person who's actually a great worker, works tirelessly for him with tons of experience, and who actually loves him, is his enemy. And how does this happen? Because it's misinformation. This person has never been his enemy. Never. He believes, the executive, that the person who has worked hardest for him, has been most loyal to him, has worked relentlessly to get everything done for him perfectly, who wants him to succeed constantly, is his enemy. It's so wrong, it's comical. You had to be there to see it. It's like believing your best friend is your enemy. It's just a joke. And why does the executive believe this? He believes this because he listens to the wrong people. He has these two people, let's call them Tweedledum and Tweedledee, who he has worked with for a while. And he brought in, and they're people he relies on, and all they do is badmouth this hard worker. And all this hard worker does is work his ass off for this guy. So why does Tweedledum and Tweedledee badmouth the hard worker and the guy who loves him? Because one of Tweedledee and Tweedledum, let's call it Tweedledee, listened to someone who badmouthed this hard worker. The person that badmouthed this hard worker was a person that everyone hated in the company, a nightmare employee who hated everybody. And so Tweedledee listened to this person and believed that person. And because initially Tweedledee believed that person, Tweedledee talked to Tweedledum, and they gossiped, and they were jealous, and they wanted to be the only people this executive trusts and liked. So this guy's busting his ass for this executive from day one, and the executive quietly views him as a person he won't keep as part of his team because Tweedledum and Tweedledee misled him. So this loving worker continues to work tirelessly, loyally, forever, because that's who he is and what he's about. And these two people, Tweedledum and Tweedledee, are screwing him over. A person who only tried to do the right thing. It's so pathetic. And because Tweedledum and Tweedledee like the enemy, this president of the other division, very much, That enemy gets away with murder. He's undermining this executive every day. And Tweedledee and Tweedledum are giving the executive the wrong information. They're idiots in terms of who protects their own boss. Can you imagine this? And here's the ultimate joke. Tweedledum and Tweedledee had no experience. They're learning on the job. They're learning, and they're learning well, but they started out knowing nothing. And the guy they badmouthed was an expert. And that guy never badmouthed Tweedledum and Tweedledee at all. It's nuts. A loyal hard worker is the most experienced worker on the planet. Because they had no experience or understanding of reality, Tweedledum and Tweedledee gave the wrong advice to their boss, who they're supposed to be helping. And because the boss trusts them, his enemies flourish. And the loyal, hardworking, sincere person will be dumped. And while this is going on in another company, there's a woman who's attractive and has an exotic accent and knows how to be socially brilliant amongst key personnel. And she was hired part-time and then found a way to charm herself into a full-time job and probably had one of the bosses actually fall in love with her. It so would appear. So that now the expert in her field that she worked with, who brought her in, has been let go. He's no longer working there. She's replaced him, and now she's trying to replace another executive in the office and do that work that she doesn't have any knowledge about. But you know what? The boss that's in love with this person, or at least finds her attractive, he keeps giving her information to let her replace the new executives. And she's very manipulative because she succeeded in manipulating the most key people in the office. And once again, a talented person at the office is going to be let go because of her, and somebody already was let go because of her. She has the bosses believing she's the most talented person in the office, which is an absolute lie. But one person is gone because of her, another is under threat because of her, and this is the politics and the way people get rid of loyal, hardworking people. And today, bosses are rarely loyal to people, but expect complete loyalty from you. So you're loyal and watch the bosses count the days until they can fire you or lay you off and lose all the hard work and talent you gave them every day of your life, because some person can come in and marry a relative or take over and be liked by a boss or badmouth you. And that's how talent is not kept and does not rise to the top. It's often thrown out because on the streets, you don't have any hope. The bosses don't have a clue about why they got rid of you and who did what to you, and you're just out on your own. And that's what's happening in America, and we have to fight this. We have to fight it viciously. If we don't fight it, it'll just continue. And the way to fight is when you see this happening in your office, don't sit by quietly. Help the talented, good working people at work. Fight for them. Fight for them as if they're part of your community. I saw this recently, and I just can't believe it's on there. A woman had a baby, and the hospital charged her $39.99 to hold the baby. This is why I hate hospitals and the cost of medical care in the United States. It's outrageous. They charged her to hold her own baby, and then if she doesn't pay, what? You keep the baby? She pays late fees? What is this? You have her arrested? We're the worst country in the world. That's not a third world country when it comes to medical expenses and drug costs. And what is this about? Greed. It's bad. Greed is bad. Michael Douglas was wrong in the movie. Greed is bad. He was a greedy rich guy, like Donald Trump. Of course he's going to say greed is good. But greed now kills you and me. We can't get medical care and drugs. We need to be able to survive. We can't afford it. We have a system that encourages drug companies and doctors to raise prices and hospitals to raise prices and charge for everything and bankrupt us while we all die from various diseases. And what do you do about this? Nothing. You keep electing people. You, my people out there, elect people who do nothing about this, and many of whom get political financing from doctors and drug companies and hospitals who don't give us the drugs and medical care we need to survive. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Fight it. Vote for people that do something. If you vote for somebody that hates hospitals and what's going on and hates drug companies, you're already voting for a better person. Next, America's founding fathers, just as a reminder to all you conservatives and constitutionalists out there, they were revolutionaries, hint, hint, and risk takers. They would have hated Mike Pence. They would have hated him. They had doubts and took risks. They weren't conservatives. So whenever a person says he's a constitutionalist and a conservative, he can't be. He's lying. They were rebels, you idiots. They were rebelling against Great Britain's authority. They took risks. They were the opposite of conservative. They were like, God forbid I'm saying this, Bernie Sanders. And all the attacks about socialism, which didn't exist back then, by the way, against Bernie were made exactly in the same way against our founding fathers. So if you're an American and embrace our founding fathers, if you embrace the strict interpretation of the Constitution, if you love America and our founding fathers, then you have to love change. You have to love taking risks, and worst of all, you have to love some sort of revolution. That's what they were about. And best yet, they were independent. So if you're conservative, you're like the British in the Revolutionary War. That's who you are. Stop being conservative. Just fight for your rights. Protect your jobs, your medical coverage, your need for cheaper drugs so you can live. See what happens in Canada. It's doing just fine in Canada. There's no communist takeover of Canada. Wake up. If you love America, you're not really conservative. You're either middle class and poor or you're rich. And you know us middle class and poor people, we don't like the rich people. They mess up our lives. They only care about themselves. Now, in about 5 minutes, I have a guest coming. But before I bring on this marvelous guest who has a lot to say, I have one more point to make. And then Gina Cavalier, a star in the making, will join this show. Folks, the office chair, the desk, and computer are death traps, okay? Your bosses don't give you sufficient internet access. They give you a heart attack. Because with the old computer software they give you because they're so cheap, that doesn't work fast. And, of course, the inevitable blaming of you because you don't get things done quickly. We're screwed. And they yell at us. And to top it off, they give you a small desk so you bump your knees and can't walk because of the injuries. And you get a chair that ruins your back. You're at risk here, folks, okay? Think about it. Your bosses are killing you. But they want you to work faster. So it's just cheap boss. It's insane. Don't let this happen, employees. Don't let this happen to you. Unite against them and make sure they give you good internet, a chair that doesn't ruin your back, and a desk that doesn't hurt your knees. Because believe me personally, on a personal level, all of these things are happening to me and everyone else I know. Now, for the great Gina Cavalier. She's going to come on. She's going to sit down, and she's going to tell us about herself and about what she's fed up about and what she wants to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, Gina Cavalier.
Hey, Lonnie. Hello, Lonnie Ramati. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
It has. By the way, I like people that call me by two names instead of just my first name because then it's very, official. It's like, hello, Lonnie Ramati. It's like somebody from another planet just landed in my backyard, and they said, hello, Lonnie Ramati. We're here to greet you.
I've called you that since the day I met you, and I don't know why, but it just seemed fitting.
Well, people have called me much worse, I promise you.
Well, I really enjoyed what you were speaking about. It's kind of really hit home, and I was trying to figure out what I want to talk to you about when I got here. Because just so many different things. My list was quite long. But the one thing that I did, you were talking about a risk taker. I'm definitely a risk taker, and it's actually very difficult to become a risk taker, especially in the entertainment business. I have something what I call creative energy, not about just be able to create a book or an idea, but I can create something out of nothing and bring people together really quickly, which is I'm finding not a lot of people can do that.
Very few.
And the reason why they can't, and they really can, is because they've been told for so long about the different fears and what's going to happen to you if you do kind of step out of your box.
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure. Also, somebody gave me the analogy the other day, in these big entertainment companies, they're basically an ant farm.
Yep.
And when that one ant wants to go off into the other direction, it makes them really nervous because what does that mean?
Change.
The rest of the ants are going to start to go, well, why did she go that way?
Right.
We were supposed to follow our scent and follow our line. And it makes them very nervous. So what they do is they actually attack that one ant that went down the other way.
They try and kill it.
They try and kill it, even if it's to save themselves. So
it's ant genocide.
So I have a recent experience. I realize, there's a lot of fear with technology, and I see a lot of kind of the older entertainment community getting lost with and scared about their jobs. Technology is very interesting and important, and so I created a group to at the studio that I'm working at right now, and everybody was very interested in this group, and it got a lot of attention from big executives. The problem is that a lot of the lower end executives or the people that kind of supervise me weren't very happy about it, even though I had something about 200 people raise their hand in the air to be on my board of directors.
By the way, I wasn't invited to be on the board of directors. I wasn't invited on the board or the director.
You have to be an employee
I was
of the.
No, but I was invited to the of.
Yeah.
That part I got invited to.
So, and I was really overwhelming. We had to do a big speech and talk to people about why we wanted to form this group to, inspire and educate all the employees, do a speaker series, talk about all the new technologies like VR and AR, and this was going to be something that was available to every single employee. It didn't matter if you were in finance or if you're actually in film production. Overwhelming, and people are coming up to me, vice presidents, senior vice presidents, saying this was so needed and we're so grateful and we love what you started. But I got written up for it, actually. I got in trouble. I got told that
Human resources, I told you.
I got told
They're
that
Satan. Human resource people. I don't care how they started. I don't care if they were the Pope. If the Pope became human resources, he would become Satan automatically. You can't help it. You're Satan. Look at what they did to Gina. Poor Gina.
Yeah.
She's just trying to help people. People like what she's doing, and human resources has to enter it, and they have to file a written report to ruin her life because she's innovative, intelligent, and making people happy. They want everyone miserable, like little zombies, like lemmings walking into their ocean with their suicide deaths. It's disgusting. I want to just spit on you. And I'm very tall, so there's a lot of spit coming down.
Yeah, you are tall.
Very tall. I will spit on you one day, I hope. But go on.
But so I have a lot of support though from some senior executives, and that's been pretty helpful to kind of. But it's right now I'm living two different worlds. I walk into the situation, I have all these people clapping for me and encouraging me and supporting me, and then I have my day job where everybody is telling me, I actually feel like I'm going to be fired all of the time. I'm not really a person who has a lot of high anxiety, but I've never had the kind of anxiety I have now because I'm, constantly dealing with, if I put out one email that had the wrong word in it, or, I'm being judged and watched at every moment. And it's really difficult because I did want to just build this thing we have 6,000 employees, 35,000 worldwide employees, and it's a great thing. And I'm just hoping that...
Okay, well, I'm going to tell whoever is causing Gina problems that you're on notice, okay? This is a public show. And we know what you're trying to do in terms of getting rid of her. And there are plenty of lawyers I can recommend to Gina if you pull this crap. There's no justifiable reason to get rid of her. She's done nothing wrong. She's performing her job well. And all you're doing is feeling threatened by her innovative approach to things because you're not the innovator in it, and everything has to go to you in terms of credit. So if you're going to do this to her, you are on notice, folks. You are on notice, and you are going to pay for it. So leave her alone and let her do their stuff. It's not hurting the company, and people are benefiting from it. For once in your life, be a human being, not a human resources. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Have a life. Be a human being. We're the same species. Help your own species. We're not talking about a lizard here, although some have called me lizardly. We're talking about a human being.
I agree, and also, this is something that I talk about pretty often with people, especially in Los Angeles. We have a hard time dealing with any kind of confrontation. We're all different people. We all think differently. We perform differently. We have to be able to have simple conversations that are uncomfortable. Nobody likes them, but if you don't learn how to deal with confrontation in a small way, and it just builds up into resentment, it's not good for anybody. So when you have those, either feelings, emotions, professionally or personally, let them out in little bits and learn how to, if that person is important to you, if that relationship is important to you at all, especially in a work relationship, bring them aside, ask them, what can we do to make this better? It is uncomfortable, but I guarantee you that it's better to do it now than to do it later on. And I'm finding that a lot of people have so much fear with confrontation now. I'm not sure where it's just getting even more intense than it ever has
Well,
been.
here's an idea. Gina's innovative. She's coming up with some things that people are responding positively to. How about this? How about embracing them and letting it enhance your career as bosses of Gina? Bosses of Gina, use your friggin' brains, you idiots. If you have somebody that's talented and innovative, get on the innovative ship so it can further your career. Don't be afraid of this. If it's a good thing, embrace it. She's not going to take your job away. She's going to enhance your job. You're going to look better by being on the team of somebody who's innovative and making pathways for people in the company. You can be a part of it. What the heck is wrong with that? What are you so scared of, you nimbus? Wake up. She's doing a good thing. Get on board. Have it enhance your career. Be successful. Otherwise, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get rid of this. You do that, you're dead. You're dead. It'll come back to haunt you. What goes around comes around. You're going to be the kind of nimbus-brained, futile, hopeless person that's so scared of everything, you're never going to progress anyway. You'll be dead in this job. A new regime will come in. You'll be out in the streets, and no one will want to hire you because you haven't done anything in your career. You don't have to have all the ideas. If you enhance an idea or enable a great idea, you get credit for it. Get it? You're going to get credit for this. Please. I'm asking you nicely before I get angry.
Thanks, Lonnie. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. And also, something that I love Richard Branson. He's, I follow him. He's my inspiration. And for one particular reason is he says all the time, if you're not making a mistake, you're not really trying or learning something.
Right.
So it's okay if you make a mistake once in a while. It doesn't feel great. I've made some mistakes even recently, and I was scared and frightened and couldn't believe that all my experience. Why did I do that? And I really beat myself up about it.
Well,
but
here's the secret about mistakes. You get to correct them.
Yeah.
You come back and you correct mistakes. Hey, bosses, it's okay that people make mistakes.
Yeah.
They correct them. We don't want total idiots working for us. I agree. But most people are not total idiots, okay? Most people want to do a good job, and they will correct the mistake. They want to please you, bosses. They're trying to bet their best to make things better for you. And if you only understood that, by the way, things would go a lot smoother for everybody. And by the way, bosses, here's the other thing. Let's say you don't think what they're doing is enhancing you. Well, if other people think it's enhancing you, maybe you need to readjust your thinking. Maybe you're wrong too. You could be wrong. Don't tell me you're always right, and don't pretend to be always right. That makes you less human and a worse boss. Embrace new things. If they don't work out, try something else new. Everyone tries new things that's innovative. Richard Branson, Bill Gates at one time before he became superhuman, Steve Jobs. People try new things. You don't have to create new things. Steve Jobs didn't create a lot of what he did, but he inspired it and he orchestrated it. And that's what you can do as bosses. You can be the orchestrator of great people and make them work for you and enhance your career and be a big part of what they do. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Stop being such chicken. All right, so I have we have a call or not a call? Okay, good. I have another thing to talk about, and this affects Gina as well. So Gina, let me tell you something.
Great.
This is bad.
Okay.
This is upsetting me. I'm so glad you're sitting next to me. It makes me more calm about this, but I'm still angry. Taxes that the rich don't pay. Oh. This year, despite making more than $1 million, roughly 666 households won't owe a penny of federal tax. That's based on the Tax Policy Center. Donald Trump is one of them. We know that. Another 3,700 or so households making between $500,000 and $1 million also won't have to send a check to the IRS. Those with a lot of money can afford to invest much of their monies in tax-exempt bonds or abroad. Yes, rich people invest abroad. and they end up owing tax to a foreign government, but they're allowed to take a tax credit for that and end up paying no taxes in the U.S. They have much more money to give to charity for big deductions, and we can't do any of those things. So I just want to know, Congress, why you're screwing me over and Gina over and everyone that's not rich. Why are the rich getting treated better for taxes than we are? And why are Republicans pretending that they're cutting taxes for us, but they're not cutting taxes for us? Republicans are cutting taxes for rich people. That's what they do. So don't give me this crap about Democrats want higher taxes for us and Republicans want lower taxes. Well, Republicans want lower taxes for rich people, okay? So I'm not a rich person. I need lower taxes. I need somebody to give me lower taxes. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, a Libertarian, or a Green Party. Just give me lower taxes. It's aggravating me. Aren't you fed up, Gina, with all the taxes you have to pay? It just kills you.
It's unbelievable. And not just income taxes, even state taxes on, you don't even realize it when you go shopping to buy clothes or whatever you're engaging with on a daily basis. But if we were really to add that up and see how much we were paying to have all the resources we have, it's really insulting. And then they do, like, they clean up the streets and they put all new, like, water and power in, and then they leave the streets completely destroyed. They don't even make it nice for you at the end. And it's,
Gene, you're a consumer. You like to consume. I know you like to consume. I've seen you buying things. You like to shop.
I do
you're
like
shopper.
to shop.
She's a shopper.
I could have a show on
She's
shopping.
a consumer. She's a shopper show. Okay, shopper show. Okay, it's big time shopper show.
Yeah.
But starring Dina Cavalier. But here's the point. That's a consumer, you idiots in Congress. We need consumption in order to make the economy robust again. I use the word robust because I just like that word, like robust. It's nice. Robust, powerful. We want a good economy. We need consumption. We're not getting consumption because you're killing us with taxes. Gina can't buy her stuff that she wants to do. She should have her own shopping show. She shops so much. She's sitting here just dying because she wants to be shopping instead of talking to me. And what are you doing? You're giving her high taxes as a middle class, lower middle class, or poor person. We'll call ourselves all three. Yeah. It's killing us. We can't, we're just breaking even. And by the way, as time goes on, it becomes harder and harder for us to consume because it's harder for us to make money and progress. Because once again, if you're too old, God help you if you're looking for a job and you're too old in any industry. So you're killing us here. How about really lowering the taxes for the middle class and the poor? How about raising the taxes for the rich? How about stop worrying about the fact that we'll lose jobs because we had very high taxes during the 60s, 50% for the rich, and job growth was huge during the 60s. Job growth is determined by people that aren't rich.
Yep.
Okay?
I think it's important that we also try to help the small businesses.
Absolutely.
They to get anything started, I've had a lot of friends that have been trying to start all kinds of small businesses that they're very passionate about and putting, their savings that they put into it, and they can't get permits approved. They have to have a certain amount of bathrooms, a certain amount of parking, X amount of square feet, just so they can make a pizza place.
That's right. By the way, listen to Gina very carefully, because I've been saying this too. We're on the same page. Let me tell you something. This is what you're doing, Congress, you goofballs. And Republicans, they've never been a friend of small business. No, I'm not saying Democrats have either. But don't worry about whether somebody is a Republican or a Democrat. Just worry about, will they help small business? It's a simple question. If they will not help small business, do not vote for them. If they will help small business, vote for them, because all of Gina's friends, plus Gina herself, are trying to get small businesses off the ground with less regulation for small businesses, less taxes for small businesses, more help for small businesses. None of that's going on. Don't worry about what their party is. Don't worry about it. Just pick the person that'll do that. We've got to start doing this. Otherwise, we're just going to keep killing ourselves. The gap's going to grow between rich and middle class and poor to an extent where it becomes like a monarchy here. We're becoming like England during the 19th and 18th century when there was a tremendous difference between classes, or like India, where the difference in classes was astonishing, somewhat much worse than it is today, and it's still pretty bad today. I mean, the difference between an untouchable and a rich person, think about it. Are we headed in that direction? Are Gina and I going to become untouchable? Not that I was ever very touchable to begin with. That's a whole different discussion. But I'm just saying, look at us, where we're headed. What direction are we headed in? We're headed in a direction where we're becoming like that, where we're going to be cast out as people that aren't worth time and effort by representatives who only cater to wealthy, powerful interests, like the Koch brothers, like Hillary Clinton's Wall Street people. Stop. Stop. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. Stop. Help Gina Cavalier in her business. Help her save her job so they don't ruin her at the studio. Fight, fight, fight. Be a human being. Fight.
Yes. And have passion with everything that you do and not be afraid to make mistakes.
Is that it, my friend? Another wonderful show. Thank you all, everybody. It's been a great Sunday morning.
Thank you, everybody.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Fed Up Show with Lonnie Ramati. I'm here to tell you about a new movement I'm starting. I want everyone to call in and tell me how fed up they are and what they're fed up with. Because I am fed up. I'm fed up!